This is another projectile toy, and it comes with a pair, these glasses are included.
Those are safety glasses?
Well, supposedly, that's the issue with this toy. It has inconsistent labeling. The toy packaging tells you to always wear protective eye gear. However, on other parts of the packaging, it tells you, actually on the glasses itself, it says these glasses are a toy and do not provide protection. So here we have inconsistent labeling. If you see that, that's why it's so important to get into the packaging and examine the toy, because if you see this inconsistency, just avoid the toy.
But if you're opening a toy in a store, chances are somebody's going to come and say, you can't do that. You can't open the toy. What do you do in that situation? It's beautifully packaged. The shopkeepers don't want you opening it. They then can't sell it again. So what do you do?
Well, my recommendation would be, if you can't get permission from the shopkeeper, which you should be able to, because often there are important warnings inside that aren't on the box, that you should examine it before giving it to your child and return the toy if it raises any questions in your mind. Because really, if there's any question in your mind about the toy, don't put it in the hands of your children. It's just not worth it.
And if you get a toy that you then find is dangerous, any of these or any number of other toys, it's important to keep the receipt, isn't it?
Keep the receipt, and definitely. And also inform the Consumer Product Safety Commission. They have a website that allows you to report dangerous toys. You can write to the manufacturer, retailer. You can write to our organization, Watch. It can take a community effort to keep the toy store shelves safe.
Is there a place that a parent or anybody who's purchasing a toy for a child can go to, a website that provides a list of toys to avoid?
Well, the Consumer Product Safety Commission does publish recalled toys. And I believe there is a method to sign up to automatically get emails of recalled toys, and I would suggest that for parents, because it's just a good way to keep abreast of what's going on out there.
Otherwise, it's just by happenstance. You happen to be watching a television news program where they mention a consumer recall, or you open the newspaper and happen to see it, but there's no other way, really.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the issues is that many of the toys aren't identified by an organization yet, by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, by the government, by the manufacturers, as dangerous, yet they still can pose hazards. So we really stress that consumers consumers and parents need to get educated so that they can make those critical, informed decisions at the point of purchase.
You have some other toys that are also on your list this year.
Yes, this toy, named after the popular Kung Fu Panda movie, is a sword made of rigid plastic. And I just simply have to show you this, that it's just not a toy you want to hand to a child. In our opinion, it should be avoided. There's only one thing a young child is going to do with this when you hand it to them. This has the potential for blunt impact injuries. So just think about the end use of a toy, how a child's going to use it. And children are predictably unpredictable. So think about how this toy is going to be used when placed into a child's hands.
And you have something else as well.
Yes. This is the Big Bang rocket. Now, this rocket, the idea behind it is that it's exciting because it makes a loud noise. They actually compare the noise it makes to that of a cap gun. So when you throw it in the air, it comes down. You put a piece of newspaper in here, and it makes a loud noise. But what we like to tell you is to avoid toys like this. The warning on the toy says that it can cause hearing loss. Well, really, is that really worth it to give a child a toy that can cause hearing loss or damage hearing? So that's just...
And yet the manufacturer is legally able to do that. There's nothing illegal about marketing a toy that
That's right.
has the potential of creating.
That's right.
loss.
That's right. Do you want me to talk about the toys that I don't
Yeah, there were
have
some other
with me?
toys that made your list that you did not bring with you. Just briefly talk to me in general terms about
Yeah, well, one toy, if you can see pictures of the toys if you go to our website, which is toysafety.org. But one toy is the Basilian Tugboat Play Center. It's an inflatable tugboat, but really it's the tugboat that's not a boat. And on the outside of the packaging, it invites you to sail away and have fun, sail away. It says something like that. It says it's for inside and outside use. However, when you get further into the packaging, you'll see that it's not a flotation device. It warns you about this, and that it's not to be used near swimming pools. So you look at the box, you see this inflatable boat, and it's not really apparent that it's not intended for water use till you get into the box. And the toy itself warns you that it has the potential for injury or death. Again, we're getting not clear labeling from the manufacturer. We're getting inconsistent messages. The picture on the box also shows a girl standing up on the boat. It appears that she's standing on the floor of the boat, and one of the warnings in the box says no standing.
And you've got a couple of others on the list also. Just briefly talk to me
Sure.
about those.
My first mini cycle, it's a low riding toy for children. Its low profile makes it difficult to see by cars. That can be a potential hazard. There's also a caution inside the box that says always wear a helmet. But if you look at the box itself, it pictures a child not wearing a helmet. If it's so important to wear a helmet, why are they advertising it with a child not wearing a helmet? And then the last toy on the list is the Walkaroo aluminum stilts. This is a great example of a toy that really should raise some red flags with parents. When you give a toy to your child, think about how the child's going to use the toy and what environment it's going to be used in. The warnings on this toy say, do not use near stairs, steep inclines, swimming pools, or uneven surfaces. And then it says, always remain in control of your motions. Now, if you think that it's unrealistic to follow those instructions while using this toy, avoid the toy.
And what age group is this toy being marketed to?
5 and up.
5 and up. So how do you find these toys? Do you haunt the toy stores year round, or do consumers contact you, or what methodology do you use to come up with this list each year?
Both methods. Like consumers and parents, we walk up and down the aisles of toy stores. We're armed with the knowledge of what hazards are out there. And when you're aware of the hazards, it's easier to identify what toys may be hazardous. We're also contacted by consumers year-round. We hope, every year at this time to get the word out, raise awareness. Every year there are new parents, as well as old parents that may not be aware of the hazards.
Does it get discouraging at all, given the number of years that your organization has been doing this, that every year you seem to have no problem coming up with a 10 worst list?
It is discouraging. It also shows us the need for the list. The more information we can get out there, we hope to see, reduce injuries, reduce deaths, and see improvements in the design of the toys. I think that keeping the conversation going holds manufacturers more accountable.
How widespread a problem is this? How many children die or are injured each year because of toys?
Last year, I believe there were 12 children that died in toy-related injuries, and over 200,000 children annually are injured from dangerous toys. In a recent 3-year period, there were 60 children that died. Statistics we feel are important because it does quantify that there is a problem. However, when you're talking about death and injuries, particularly to children, really one injury is even one too many. So if by compiling our list and raising awareness in consumers, we prevent even one injury, then we feel we've done our job.
Is there a worst toy of all time? Is there one toy that stands out in the history of your organization that you look back and say that was?
I think that probably everyone who's been involved in the organization has that one offender in their mind, but I wouldn't want to pinpoint one toy because I do think it's important for consumers to be aware of all the categories of hazards and not just put emphasis on one or another. One thing I do hear a lot from consumers and parents is, is there a category of toy that's safer when they go out there shopping? And I do like to emphasize, don't rely on name brands or familiar manufacturers' names when you're shopping because that can give a false sense of security. Really examine the toy and be diligent no matter what the name of the product is.
And when it comes to toys, a lot of people do have that brand loyalty because they grew up with toys made by that manufacturer.
Yes, absolutely.
And they remember them fondly, nostalgically, and they think other toys made by the same company should be perfectly safe.
Yeah, absolutely. So and that can be dangerous.
You have 3 children of your own. What toys? Well, they're too old now to be playing with small toys.
Yeah.
What toys did you buy for them? As a parent, what would you look for when you were shopping?
Yeah, as a parent, I probably more so than many others, I definitely did examine the toys the way I recommend for other consumers. But what we found is that really children don't need that many bells and whistles to be happy. They're very happy with simple toys. Sometimes the bells and whistles are for the parents. A box, with lots of advertising attracts a consumer to that box. But children can entertain themselves with the basics. And I know, John, we were joking earlier that a joke in my family is that my children grew up getting sweaters because everyone was too afraid to give them toys. And ironically, just this morning, they did get a sweater set as my twin boys as presents, which they loved. It was a lovely gift, but it was funny. So.
We've talked about some of the most dangerous toys. Are there toys that you recommend? Are there toys that are great for toddlers and for school-age children, or certain kinds of toys that are terrific and predictably safe?
I like toys that challenge children to use their imagination, which goes back to sometimes the simpler, the better. And then it's really a matter of, because there's so many different toys out there, I wouldn't want to pinpoint, one toy, but I would say for oral age children, clearly avoid small parts. A hidden hazard for oral age children is small parts that aren't apparent because it was part of the original toy but can break off. So it's really important to examine the toy. Make sure that nose on a teddy bear can't come off. Avoid painted toys for oral age children. A toy with lead looks exactly like a toy without lead. So it puts the consumer in a difficult position.
And how do you know when a toy? Are manufacturers required by law to state that the toy has been painted with lead-based paint?
Well, the Consumer Product Safety Act of 2008 does address the problem of lead in toys. Again, the problem is enforcement. There were millions of toys with lead recalled just this past year. And the consumer's at a real disadvantage because there's no way to know when you look at a toy. It looks the same as a toy, as I said, without lead. But it's always safer, if you're going with a wooden toy, to avoid a painted surface with oral age children, or if you have toys that are painted, if they chip, start throwing them out. But it's a serious problem, and it has to start again with the manufacturer using safe materials when they make their toys.
I just want to ask you lastly, as we wind up here. Many toys come with age recommendations. Are those effective?
Age recommendations are important to pay attention to, but it's not always the end of your investigation because, first of all, a toy can be hazardous to a child that it's recommended for. for instance, as I mentioned before, you don't know when a child's going to stop putting toys into their mouths. But it is an important starting point.
I think that's it. Any parting word of advice for parents as they're finishing their holiday shopping?
I would say just, review the hazards, make sure to really examine, be active consumers, examine the toys, and think about that children are predictably unpredictable. Think about how they play, and just have a safe holiday season.
Great. Joan Swartz Siff, thank you, and happy holidays to you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.